on magical protection.
Yes.
We're just going to go over the basics today, giving you an overview.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Mary the Stitch Witch, and this is
Amy.
And we're here to talk to you about magical protection for your home.
And we also know that this is a very vast topic, and when we were researching it, we found that we could really go on and on about this. So this is going to be part one of our series on magical protection.
Yes.
We're just going to go over the basics today, giving you an overview of what you can do to consecrate and dedicate your space, your home, or your working environment magically, and make sure that all, unwanted energies are not in it.
To make your home feel safe and make it feel like
Sacred.
it's sacred.
Yeah.
So we'll start with a few cleansing tools. So we have sage, and it's ethically sourced from a local store in Ontario here. And I also have a shell, so if you need to put your sage out, you can put it in the shell. And I also have Palo Santo, which is a good one to burn. And then you suggested as well juniper.
Right, juniper and rowan would be used in European culture as a staining or smudging medium. Mm-hmm. And what they would do is they would start at the front door of the house, and they would stain with the dried rowan, cedar, or cedar. It was cedars as well, right? So yes. Rowan, cedar, and what was the other one? Juniper. It would be dried and bundled, and they would burn that. They would go to the corners of each room, starting at the front door and moving towards the back. Mm-hmm. They would open all the windows of the house, so that the whatever malevolent energies would be in the house would be carried away with the smoke and go out the windows. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. And we were just saying that this is spring cleaning right now, because it's April right now. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are spring cleaning their home. And so this is a good way to think about just sort of clearing the energies out of a home as well that are undesirable, that might be, inhibiting your work magically. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you feel stuck or tired all the time, it might be heavy energy in the home.
There might be. And another thing was too, if there are a lot of arguments, illness, or if you're grieving, these are all heavy emotions that you might want to clear out of your home at this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or your working space, whatever. Yeah.
And maybe add it to your cleansing schedule. So like when you dust, then you add in doing your cleansing.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good idea.
And next, do we want to talk about doing some crystals?
Right. We were talking about some protective crystals as well.
Moving on to protection after we've cleansed.
Yep.
And let's see, right now we have selenite.
It's known to be an energy clear. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
And
many witches will make wands out of selenite. I believe
this one's selenite as well. I've got a little heart. Mm-hmm. And that one. And then we have amethyst.
Amethyst. Now I wanted to just tell a little story about amethyst, where I had a situation where I was having terrible nightmares. It went on for a while, and I felt like I needed some sort of a ward. And I found out that if you put amethyst beside your bedside table, on your bedside table or under your pillow, this is a crystal point of amethyst, which might be, you might find that more effective, or if this is all a bunch of crystal points as well. And you would put these right on your bedside table or under your pillow as a ward against nightmares. And I swear it works.
Mm-hmm.
It will really cause the nightmares to fall away. Yeah.
That's making me think about something else that I read before, and that if you wanted to have like a nice peaceful feeling as well at night, nice. You can do rose quartz as well.
Yeah, pink quartz.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All the quartz are great for that, but this one is specifically for nightmares. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be really good, and it does work. It definitely works. Also, a Native American and Canadian indigenous cultures, they would make a dream catcher, which is like a woven disc, mm-hmm. and sometimes it has crystals in it and other things, and that's said to catch the evil influences that can come in and attack someone in their dreams. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing to do. And if you have native blood in you, that might be more something you might want to do than the amethyst. But although amethyst is an indigenous stone as well.
I know.
It's farm grade here in Canada.
Right?
Yeah. Thunder Bay. Yeah. Black tourmaline.
Black tourmaline, yes, didn't show that.
We wanted to talk about the black crystals because they really repel negative energy. Black tourmaline is one that is known to be the strongest, but obsidian and, onyx were two other ones that you could use as well. But black tourmaline, if it's made into jewelry, you can wear, around your neck or as rings. I have a bracelet here that is made with black tourmaline and some other crystals as well. I think there's jasper on there and some other things. And this is I always wear a little bit of protective crystals on my body.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good practice to get into.
Well, actually, I don't have my.
You usually wear your tourmaline. You have I see you have your amethyst ring,
yes,
though.
I have the amethyst, and I actually have black onyx on there as well.
Yeah, so that's
a small one, but
it's just a way to feel some extra protection, and good practice to get in. There's also symbols. Did we want to talk about symbols next, or
get into doing symbols?
Right. Oh, this is a symbol we know well as witches. This is the pentagram.
Yeah.
And I know that in popular culture, in Hollywood movies and things like that, you'll see the pentagram and you'll think, ooh, devil worship, but that could be farther from the truth. This is actually a protective symbol that has to do with the elements, okay? And the fifth element, or the quintessence, being spirit, okay? So earth, air, water, and fire, plus quintessence, okay? And that acts as a protective symbol. We also will wear our pentagrams around our neck for extra protection. But the pentagram can be drawn on windows and doors.
Yes.
Also for extra protection.
We'll get into it later, but there's some books as well that we'll mention. But one of the books mentions that you put your finger into soap and then you can draw it on your windows.
I wonder if you could do that with like rosemary oil too, or something like that, like just like a protective oil.
Yes.
That would probably work just the same.
That would, yeah absolutely.
And the added bonus of having the protection of rosemary, which is like one of the top protection herbs.
Psychic protection oil would be great.
Yeah. And you can do that with your magical tools as well. And I suggest you do actually when you're consecrating them is draw the pentagram. Or maybe that's not your symbol, but it is kind of a universal symbol. Obviously, it's adopted by the pagan community, but it goes beyond that. Like you see pentagrams even on churches in England and places like that.
Because it's older than Hollywood.
Yes, it's much older than Hollywood. That's right. Yeah.
I mean, you can use any symbol you want to. You can use a cross. You can use
a cross.
Pentagram. Yeah. You could use a triquetra, like we were.
The triquetra. Okay, so we've researched this symbol. I want to also say this was the symbol for John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin on the
That's
on the fourth album, where they all had symbols, and people will say, oh, they were so occult, they had these symbols. Well, okay, yeah, they did, right? But they were protection symbols. So John Paul Jones, the bass player and keyboard player, this was his symbol, the triquetra. It's a very old symbol. It dates back 2,000 years, and some say even longer, 5,000 years. And it's 3 in 1, okay? So the circle being in 1, joining the 3, right, of the triangle.
Yeah, you can see a circle within it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also been adopted by Christianity to represent the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yes.
I was like, what is it? Yeah, and also, but it goes back to represent mind, body, spirit, past, present, future, maiden, mother, crone. You know, it's the 3, right? The power of the 3. Father, mother, child.
Yes.
You know, we can go on and on.
Yeah.
Often in pagan spell work, things are said 3 times.
Yes.
3 times a charm, right?
Well, that's the God number, right? Number
Right.
3 or 9, whatever you
Exactly,
want to say.
exactly.
Multiples of 3.
So triquetra is another symbol that you could use if you know, you wanted to. It's just as powerful probably as a pentagram or a cross or whatever. Or the other thing was the septagram I wanted to mention.
Oh, yes, yes.
I couldn't find my septagram. I had a necklace septagram, but I was going to bring it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Anyways, the septagram is another protective symbol. It's the 7-pointed star, and it's the power of Earth being the square, the 4-sided symbol, and then the triangle representing, like the triquetra, representing divinity.
Okay.
And the 2 together is bridging heaven and earth, basically. You can think of it that way. Yeah.
That makes some
Yeah.
sense. Sorry if you hear Ozzy on the
Squeaking.
ball.
There's a little squeaker in the background. It's the puppy. That's okay. We love puppies. And we're going to talk a bit about dogs and cats at the end too. So yeah. Okay.
And keys as a symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Symbol of Hecate.
Hecate,
Yeah.
and the opening of ways, or maybe closing doors off.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a double whammy, as it's an iron key.
Right.
So,
So iron is a ward against evil fairy magic,
yes.
evil spirits.
I'll show
Right.
some examples here.
Yeah. So we have some different examples.
So we have like an old iron. This is like an antique nail that I found.
Maybe like an old coffin nail.
Yeah, well,
Right?
I mean, it's just the coolest nail.
It is
And it's
pretty cool.
always magical when you're able to like found objects and
Right.
use them in your magic, right? So that was one, and I always put it by my
Did you
front
find
door.
that?
I did.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And we were talking about also the horseshoe being a
Yes.
symbol of good luck and
Mhm.
also a ward, because horseshoes were made of iron.
Mhm.
And the idea is that it's best to find a horseshoe.
Mhm.
It's said that whoever finds it needs the luck that it brings.
Ah.
That's the
And I
sort
was
of
thinking, okay,
mythology.
well, if you live in a city, you're probably not going to find a horseshoe.
I know,
But
probably not. Thrift stores.
yes, those of us that love to antique
Yeah.
shop and thrift shop,
That's finding.
it's like
That's
finding
finding.
things.
I think that's totally legit.
Manifestation.
Yeah.
Here's another example: is the railroad ties, and you'd put this like outside your house. Well, you could put them on
Four
windowsills as well.
Yeah, you could.
In the
yeah.
4 corners, but you'd want to put it mostly outside in the 4 corners of your house for protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those might be hard to find too. Sometimes magical places will have them, but I would check like antique stores for this
Right.
sort of thing.
Yeah, or like the Mennonite community.
Mennonites,
I would
yes.
think, like Amish or Mennonite community,
Yeah.
since we're speaking broadly here,
Yeah.
you might be able to
The
find things
horseshoes
like that.
and the railroad
Yeah.
ties and that sort of stuff they might have.
Yeah,
Yeah, without having to go through like a supplier that would
Exactly,
overcharge you for
exactly.
things like this. Go on to
did we want to talk a bit about the Bridget's Cross?
yes.
Okay.
So get into more like warding kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Bridget's cross.
This is a Bridget's cross that we made last in bulk.
Yes.
So Bridget is said to be, you know, a very powerful goddess in Irish and Celtic lore. The Bridget's cross is a solar symbol, the 4 arms of the cross, and in the middle we have a square symbolizing the earth realm, okay? And then the 4 elements. Yeah. And the Bridget's cross is something that would have been put above the door of the home in Europe. They would make a new one every year, but they wouldn't throw away the old one. You know how they had thatched roofs, and some places still do it in England. They would put it under the thatch, the old one. And in old houses, when they lift the thatch above the front door, they'll find all these old British crosses.
Oh, that's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
That's very
So
cool.
they would put the new one with they would usually make it out of reeds.
Yeah,
So
they usually be made from a natural material.
a natural material.
happen
We
to
just wanted to make them for fun. Yeah.
But I mean, you know
Pipe
what?
cleaners.
If you can't find that in your local garden, this is what you do. You can make it out of pipe cleaners.
Exactly. And there's plenty of how to make them on YouTube. This was another thing that we made, and this is a Rowan cross. So we ended up making, I have one at home as well. Mine's not as beautiful as Mary's. Hers turned out way better than mine. So you're supposed to use red yarn or string. So we decided to make the cross into a god's eye. And that was just a little creative flair we put into our rowan thing. But then this is all rowan berries that we dried and used. And so that goes at the front door, another ward. Yeah. Rowan is a very, very powerful druidic ward. And the rowan tree was often planted in churchyards and graveyards and in front of homes, also as a ward. Oh, and one more thing, the rowan berries, when they come out, well, these ones are dried. You can't really tell on the dried berries. But when you see the rowan berries on the tree, guess what there is on each little rowan berry? A pentagram.
Oh my goodness!
Right.
That's
so it has
right.
the pentagram.
I'd almost forgotten about that.
Yes, it has
you can't see it on this.
You can't see it on the dried berries, but yes.
And apples as well.
Apples also have.
If you cut them
apples also are
crosswise,
protective.
then you'd have a little star in the middle.
Right.
And you can use those for protection outside, and plus, you know.
Yeah, or on your altar.
Yeah, you're doing an offering at the same time, kind of thing.
Why not?
So, and then spell bags as wards. Yeah. So this was a spell that we did a long time ago that has some herbs and the oil, and there's some.
So if someone wanted to make a little
crystals
protection spell bag, what could we say would be good things to put in there?
Maybe the rosemary.
Rosemary, yeah. Maybe some cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon is also a very powerful protection herb. You can use you can actually use cinnamon from your spice jar, or you can just use the cinnamon sticks. It's good to consecrate things first. Rub your hands, get the energy flowing, then put the object in your hands, and then say an incantation or prayer over it. That's one quick way. You can also pass through all the elements, whatever, saying a little prayer. I purify you with water, I purify you with air. Actually, air would be first. Air, then fire, then water, then earth. And for the earth, you can either use dirt or you can use salt.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't talk about salt.
Oh, yes.
Salt.
The water and the salt.
Yes. So that was another purification thing. Obviously, when you're casting a circle, you would use consecrated water and consecrated salt together. The double feminine element there of earth and water. And you would use that to purify a space. You would also use an incense or you know, something burning like a smudge or a sane. But yes, you would use both those things to purify the space.
Consecrated water.
Yeah.
That reminds me as well of like Florida water.
Okay.
And my mother used to always wash the floors like once a month. And I'm pretty sure she was doing it ritually the way she would do it. And would use, I don't think she had Florida water, but she would make up her own sort of thing. And
I've heard of that.
Pine
Yeah.
and cleanser, and then it cleanses the space as well as cleansing the energy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so.
And it's
a
funny,
really
like
good idea.
I've always felt like, okay, if my floor is dirty, then my whole house is dirty, kind of thing.
Right.
Because maybe that's just in the back of my brain for
Well,
what she would do.
you know, that brings me to think about just even the tidiness of your living space.
Yes.
Like, it's a sign of your mind. Like, if your living space is tidy and organized, your mind is tidy and organized, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I've heard people say, well, creative minds are you know, usually messy and all this kind of stuff. Okay, it's one thing to have clutter, but we're talking about disorganization and dirt and filth, and that is a sign of, you know, something's wrong. You got to get your mind in order, and by the first thing you can do is get your space in order, right? And yeah, that idea about using some sort of like rosemary oil in your mopping water or something like that is a good idea as well. Yeah.
And you think about it, well, earth would be the element of your home.
Yeah.
So you've got to get that
Melted.
cleared out. The air is your mind.
Yeah,
so
that's
you've got to
right.
get that cleared out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one little thing you can do also is talking about the front door again. There's a couple of things, you know, for home protection is just to put a thin line of salt right on before the front step. That's saying that no, and you can say a little incantation like, "No evil shall pass this line." You know, in the holy names that you erect, and
only people that are to my benefit or in my best. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, can
Thou
enter
shalt
this home.
not pass.
Yeah, thou shalt not pass.
Lord of the Rings.
Brick dust as well, right?
Oh, brick dust. Yeah.
You can use that.
And I like the idea. It's a very simple idea, but I love this idea, is having like a planter at your front door with a rosemary bush.
Oh.
Right?
I love that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the rosemary acts as a ward. It's one of the most powerful herbs.
You could put a sigil under your mat.
You could put a sigil under your mat.
Rosemary, I know I keep like a pentagram, a pentacle on my front door as well, so just a big star.
Oh wow.
Or if I have a wreath, I usually add in a ribbon pentagram within the wreath.
I love that. Yeah.
You can do that easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the spell bags, also you could draw some sort of pentagram. You could do it just with oil with your finger, or you could actually draw it on, like any kinds of sigils. You could use a rune. The strongest rune protection symbol is the algas, okay, and it looks like a Y with a little bar in the middle. It's supposed to mean connection with the divine, because if you were standing and you had your arms upraised, you would look like an algas, okay? So you're receiving divine protection from above, okay? So that one would be a good one to use for a spell bag. If you're doing a spell bag for a friend or family member who's traveling, you might use the R, the Raid Ho. Okay, that is protection for travel. If you are wanting a rune for protection against an enemy, you would use Thursias, which is the thorn. See how it looks like a little thorn on a rose branch or something like that? So that is sort of defense, you know? And the last one that you would use is called Tiwas. And that looks like a little arrow. And that is victory and justified victory. Okay. So if you, well, you know, they would carve these things on their swords and their shields before going into battle, like the Vikings, right? And oh yeah, and one more thing about using rune magic is that often they would see staves that were carved with 3 of the same symbol. So again, going back to the magical number 3, which multiplies the effect.
3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
3 times as strong.
Do we want to mention some books that
yes,
people
we do
can
want to
reference?
mention some books. Yeah, so along with Psychic Protection, this is a classic Dion Fortune, Psychic Self-Defense. Okay, and she goes through a lot. It's very, very in depth. Very, very. It has a Christian angle to it, so keep that in mind when you're reading it. But really, when we talk about any god, we're talking about divine one spirit, right?
Right.
Which is, you know. So, but she, it's of her time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Dion Fortune, her real name was Violet Firth, her given name, let's say. And Dion Fortune was her magical name, and she was a founding member of the Golden Dawn, which was a magical order in England back in the turn of the century. Anyways, she goes through why you would want to defend yourself magically.
Talks about some personal stories that
some different stories
she had, and she's the one that was drawing the pentagrams on the
She did.
windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the soap.
With the soap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, she has a lot of really good tips in there. And especially if you feel like you've been hexed or you've dealt with some magical practitioners that were unethical.
Yes.
This is the book that you might want to use. Now, this was your book, Mary. I don't know much about this. Did you want to talk about it?
The Art of Psychic Protection by Judy Hall. Very similar to the Dion Fortune one. It goes into psychic self-protection and it's things that we've talked about here, using wards and that sort of thing.
So just another resource.
Yeah.
I also want to mention Matt Oren's book, The Psychic Witch. This is a wonderful book. I love this book so much. And chapter 5 is purification and shielding. So this is going to talk about purifying your space and just basically psychic shielding on the astral, which is important. Yeah, which is really important. And any books by Matt Oren are amazing. He's a great witch and author. I really love his books. So a little plug for Matt for his book. Yeah.
Okay.
So that just about covers our first video about.
I'm already thinking of some of the things we could go into.
I know we could say so much more, and maybe we want to go through in the future making a spell charm bag for people or a spell jar, because that's also a popular method, and that can be put in the window of your home, at the threshold, by your bedside table, wherever you feel like you need protection. And I think just also just in closing, I just want to say that in these times where things are so uncertain and we're under the threat of war and everything else and political upheaval and whose camp are you on, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of fighting. I think it's really important to come back to the breath, to come back to grounding, to be present, and just to not carry that stuff with you. Right?
Yeah,
you can't carry it. It can be really depressing. We've talked about that, right? I got depressed there for a while because I was just like, oh my God, I can't stand hearing that stuff every day and all the fighting. And you get influenced by it. And so if you can cleanse yourself first and foremost of all the negativity, then you're going to be a better practitioner of magic, because we can't be carrying all this stuff with us. We can't carry our past and all the mistakes we've made with us on our journey either. We have to be free of that,
so that we can cleanse our homes. So
so we can be
our magical practice.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you,
Amy,
for coming
Thanks, Mary.
in, and hopefully we can do more videos like this in the future. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye now.
Bye. Blessed be.